Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Lizardmen, led by Lord Shaftesbury, facing off against the Ogre Kingdoms, who shall be helmed by Hitman Hippo here on the Changer's Madhouse. And it is going to be the Penta Chameleon Skink, one of the most annoying units in the game, although I would say their annoying factor has probably gone down in Warhammer 3. I don't know why, but back in the days of Warhammer 2, I remember just chasing Chameleon Skinks with like an Empire Knight and like not being able to catch them. Then when I do catch them, I just can't kill them. I don't know what it is. But they're not as annoying as they used to be, but still very good at poking up on objectives. And if you're playing against a faction that has a lot of like light-ranged poke, like ogres with their slingers, for example, having the chameleons isn't bad for the 40% missile res. So it is going to be 5 of those guys, and they're good against basic ogre units, right? Like their little blow darts can do good against like ogre bulls and noblars and that sort of thing. Sara spears in the back with feral cold ones, and we do have a slant of fire. So yeah, piercing bolts has been making it's all the hotness lately. Apparently, it's pretty good against monstrous infantry, so we will see that in action. Then burning head, of course, is very good against the noblars, like pigback riders, those type of things, and just regular noblars, noblar trappers, whatever. Noblar trappers are 500 gold, give or take. So if you do get a burning head down them, it's not bad. I mean, people use burning head on like zombies and skeletons and state troopers, so why not use it on like a 500 gold goblin unit? You know. But that's going to be it. Spears, we do have cohorts and a lot of skirmishers. Now for the Ogre Kingdom's army and Hitman Hippo. Hippo going to be using Noblars in the front, backed up by Lead Belchers. It is the Lead Belchin time. So yes, Lead Belcher is very, very strong here. I think Solar Engines can kind of range with them, and so can the Stegodons. There have been times in this matchup where you have seen the dreaded double Stegodon, the Ballista Thrower, to counter the Ogre Kingdom shooting, but it looks like the Lizards are going to be going wider and more aggressive here. So Lead Belchers, a lot of Slingers, Pigback Riders lurking in the back, and just Ogre Bulls. With an Iron Blaster as well. Iron Blasters are pretty badass. They can really nuke down big dinos and Coldland Spear Riders, a bunch of different targets, right? But out of the gates, Chameleon Skink's going to be eating some fat missiles to the face, so their loose formation will probably help them a little bit here. We are in the Changer's Madhouse, so we are in the realm of Tzeentch for this battle. You can see some creepy eldritch portals around the map, which is always fun. Out of the gates, objectives number 3 and 2 are going to be going to the dinosaurs, and Hitman Hippo's ogres will be taking their home objective and advancing up. So yeah, the double Lead Belcher, very, very meta for the Ogre Kingdoms. Incredibly strong. Their DPS is pretty nutty. This map does have a lot of like weird hills and ravines. You can see it's like I go down, you can see the various elevations. So line of sight shooting can be precarious here. You just got to be really on point with your positioning, but we'll see how the players adjust to it. On the outside, Chameleon Skinks getting great value against the Ogre Bulls with dual weapons here. You see they're getting melted, but the Ogre shooting is able to shoot in effectively and counterpunch against the Chameleon Skinks. A couple of these little gremlins moving up, trying to put some hurt down on the Lead Belchers there, and they're getting a little bit of damage. Moving up are the Sara Spears, both players calling in reinforcements. In the back, it's going to be Noblar Flingers and Noblar Flingers here. And for the Lizards, it's going to be cohorts, just getting more buffering, probably to deal with the massive width of Noblars that we are seeing here. Yeah, javelins and blow darts, all sorts of nastiness. Actually able to get those Lead Belchers down a little bit. They lose a model there, so they're going to want to retreat back and get a little bit more cozy. In the front, we do see some skink cohorts engaging. I would imagine the Ogre Bulls will be given a charge order here, and there they go. So they do move in. Gut plates out, lads, and they get in, and they'll be feasting on some lizards tonight. They're going to be eating some reptile, most likely. So are they running? The skink cohorts are shaken and stirred, but then they run back to their big old big brothers, you know. And the Saurus Warriors with Spears will be able to dominate the Ogre units very, very aggressively in combat. So the Ogre units do move in. They're going to start taking big damage from the Feral Cold Ones as well as the Saurus Spears, and that's going to be a bad time for them. In the main line fighting, we do see more Ogre Bulls moving into the secondary line, chasing into the Chameleon Skinks. Iron Blasters shooting across the pipe. It looks like it is trying to rip pot shots at the Feral Cold Ones. Probably a little bit obstructed. You know, the Ogres are very, very caring of their Noblars there, but okay, it was able to shoot there. So it does rampage the Feral Cold Ones. These are just basic Noblars, so they're not going to be the pigbacks. And here we get Ogre Bulls with dual weapons moving in. Now, even though Spears are very good against Ogre Bulls, the dual weapon Bulls are also anti-infantry, and they probably will be able to defeat these Sara Spears. We'll have to see. A lot of not incidental, but a lot of little fire coming out here from the Ogres. Yeah, the Noblar Flingers, just kind of the volume fire, the Skaven Slave tactics, you know, using those Pebbles of Doom. So looking at the value trading, pretty even-ish. A bit of a favor for Hitman Hippo here. Lizards don't really have any big healing. And on the flank, the Lizards do actually kind of get folded up. So this whole fight here with the Spears, as well as the Feral Cold Ones, did not go well, and it looks like the Ogres were able to overwhelm that position. In response, we're going to be seeing a banishment from the Slan. The banishment is used on Noblar Flingers. A very cheap unit, but, you know, something to get off the board, that is for sure. The dinosaurs are going to be holding on to the objectives. Objective 3 and Objective 2 belongs to them. Here comes some sort of witchcraft. Looks like a burning head activated on the Pigback Riders. Very, very nice. Going to be cooking a lot of those guys. So that was an excellent cast right there. And that will be breaking a not cheap unit. They're pretty cheap, but still getting rid of a pointy little spear. That means your Feral Cold ones will be a little bit stronger. Dinos are holding resilient, still down in 1,000 value. Lead Belchers are very much online. So the backside, you can see the Lead Belchers here for Hitman Hippo shooting in and wasting into the Sara Spears. A lot of volume of fire. Yeah, the Ogre's really, really bringing their pebbles and their forks and knives to bear, as well as the Iron Blaster. And the Sara Spears advancing into the hail of pebble fire are getting worn down pretty heavily. On the backside, we do see advancing Cold Spear Riders being called out. Now, Cold Spear Riders are excellent in this matchup, but they are getting wasted by those freaking Lead Belchers. Look at them moving in, and you can see the pots and pans firepower of the Ogre Kingdoms really doing a considerable amount of work. And yeah, they're going to be forming ranks. Another volley. Let's get the sweet cinematic shot as these guys do get Last Samurai. Trying to charge in there. They did get dismembered as well, and I don't even know if they're going to make it into combat. They are steady. They're holding firm. Iron Guts are now being called in from the Ogres. A decent choice. You know, Sara Spears don't have good armor piercing, so the Iron Guts armor will mitigate a lot of their effectiveness. And let's take a look at the objective situation. So looking at objective number 2, we do see the Dinos controlling it. They're playing a little bit more aggressively into the shooting line of the Ogres. And the value is closing a bit. Lizards are kind of grinding out little value trades here and there. And obviously the Ogre shooting is being forced back. So Lead Belchers do get flanked by some of the Chameleon skinks from the middle. They're going to be on the retreat. Feral Cold Ones also diving back here as well. So if this shooting line of the Ogres is compromised, the value... you're going to see a big swing in the value difference for sure, because these Lead Belchers are what's carrying the army with the Iron Blasters as well. And now big aggression coming in from the Dinos. Yeah, we got more Spear Riders moving in. They're not being shot on the approach. The objective advantage is, of course, here for Lord Shaftesbury. Sara Spear is going to be moving up, and we have a really grindy game on our hands, guys. But good micro. Hitman Hippo is able to escape with both Lead Belcher units, but a lot of the Ogre army is really, really shoved back. At this point, probably the best play that I think would be available to Lord Shaftesbury would be to grab Objective 1 here and really, really put the squeeze on his opponent. On the backside, we do have some Saber Tusks trying to grab this. Very, very sneaky, but there are going to be some cohorts and skinks that might be able to fend them off. We'll have to tune into that objective once again, but that's a really good sneaky play right there. And are the Dinos going to get that objective? Bit of a mistake. That would have been really, really a hard pressure play, right? Because your opponent is already really behind in points, and taking that objective would have been very, very strong. Although it looks like he gets that idea, and the Cold Spear Riders are going to be moving over to the point. While we get a call in of a Scar Veteran. I do like that a lot. Scar Veterans are really nice, like anti-large assassins. You can use them to chase down big armored targets and monsters and things like that. And the Scar Vet is going to be attacking into the Iron Blaster, not keeping it from shooting per se. His opponent is probably spam clicking and trying to get those shoot orders off, but it is going to force it to run every now and then, and will mitigate some of the DPS. Okay, very well played to Lord Shaftesbury. He did the correct play. He went after the other objective, and back here we do see that the Lizards are able to push off these Saber Tusks. They'll be back. I don't know if the cohort wins this. They might. With the Chameleon Skinks here, I think they do beat these Saber Tusks. We'll tune back into that in a little bit. But yeah, triple cap here for the Lizards, looking very, very good as we do see the Cold Spear Riders surging into the backfield. So now the Lizards are doing very much like a stuffing strategy. They're trying to really press back the gun line and just win on points, right? Man-Eaters with Great Weapons are going to be a nice salve to the wound here as they do attack into the Cold Spear Riders with their big anti-large bonking sticks. So they're going to be a bonking away. There they go, big hammers of justice coming down. And the Cold Spear Riders get folded up very, very quickly. But here's the thing, guys. I mean, the Ogres could still come back, even though they're very pinned here. The fact that they have their Lead Belcher shooting online is pretty big. One of them is very damaged. Iron Blaster getting hunted, though. If this Iron Blaster goes down, that's going to be a very tough one. Ogre Bull's going to be trying to salvage this. It is sitting at 25 leadership, wavering as the Bulls do go on parade, moving there against the Sara Spears as another Piercing Bolt is activated from the Slan, the Battletoad of Lustria. It does some okay damage, not bad at all. But yeah, Lizard's in a very dominant position. I mean, having Objective 3, 2, and Objective 1, Ogres are really, really stuffed back here. I mean, you would totally think that this game is over, but between high-level players, anything is possible here. So, Scarvet deep in the backfield. You know, the Lizards did commit a lot to the enemy backfield, and there's a chance that if these assets do get taken down, the Ogres could get like a death push going where they get just this big wall with their Lead Belcher shooting still being on. We got 14 models here, we got 7 models here, and the Lizards are very bare bones everywhere else. Like, they did commit hard to that backfield dive. They have the Clausedon Hunters, which are a good unit, but very weak against the shooting. And the Man-Eaters with Great Weapons with the Slaughtermaster, the Great Maw healing them, could definitely put up a fight against them. Ogre Bulls are also pushing up, and that's the thing, right? If you had another slower faction like the Dwarves pinned back like this to the point where they're like trapped in their spawn zones and, you know, they're down to triple cap, they probably wouldn't have the mobility to move up. But you have to remember, Ogres are one of the best capture weight factions in the entire game. They have 54 movement speed, 5 capture weight, shock units that can absolutely bunker bust chaff off objectives, right? So they can totally move up. Colossadon Hunters diving over here, getting on top of the Iron Guts, and they certainly feast very well, so taking down that very, very elite unit. But they need to get away from the Lead Belcher shooting. Probably, honestly, at this point, the best play would be to retreat the Colossadon Hunters to the backside of the map and sit them between Objective 2 and 3 and use them over there and save them for, like, the inevitable Helm's Deep, which is probably going to come. I mean, it looks like the Ogres are getting the momentum. They're swinging back a little bit. Iron Guts enduring the Javelin Fire. And if they get those big clubs, Iron Guts are probably one of the coolest Ogre Kingdoms units. They're so freaking badass. Just these big beat sticks, these awesome-looking helmets. And yeah, those guys are retreating. The Saurus are like, screw you guys, we're going home. You're on your own. Here in the middle, Skin Cohorts trying to fight it out. Really good Dismember by Hitman Hippo, by the way. That's going to be slowing down the Colossadon Hunters and making it so they can't get there in time to help the cohorts, right? Which were the staying power. And this is a triple cap situation. So we see Spears parked on the back objective, which is very, very good. But man, oh man, that is a lot of Ogre momentum. They're coming to get you. You know, the counter swing. You know, that's what happens if you dive in your opponent's spawn zone. You might get ahead on points, but you are going to start losing out on value. Sometimes. I mean, there are games that are completely one-sided where somebody gets karate chopped super hard. But this game was pretty close in value throughout the entire course, right? So that is how that cookie is going to crumble. Feral Cold Ones charging on in. The Helm's Deep is being prepared. Lord Shaftesbury's sitting at about 700 supplies. I'd probably just want to see Spear Riders being called in nonstop. Not Spear Riders, but Saurus Spears. They're incredibly hard to remove. High leadership, very, very grindy. Banishment going down from the Battletoad there. Going to be hitting a couple units. Looks like it does hit the Ogre Bulls here and these Ogre Bulls. Not that it does much against Monstrous Infantry. On the back, Sabertusk Pack is going to be dragged down by some Feral Cold Ones, although it looks like there's going to be a healing ability going down on the Sabertusk Pack. Is that really worth it? Was it overcasted? No, it was actually just on the Ogre Bull unit that was saturated in there. All right, guys, so the Lizards have lost the battlefield, but they still have their back objective and are very, very close to winning. They only need to hold the objective for about 150 seconds, so yeah, a couple minutes here. It's doable. Battletoad is here, the sweet Siren of Lustria. He is going to be trying to tempt the Ogres to their doom. Saurus Spears going to be very resilient here, poking back against the Ogre Bulls, so you can see the damage is going down. But Ogre Bulls can give it back a little bit as well. Cold One Spear Riders, a very, very good call-in from Lord Shaftesbury. I like that a lot. But Ogres are clearly ahead at this point, although I love this. Like, little rat plays like this. Like, if you don't address this Chameleon Skank, he could get that objective eventually. And they could call in, like, a quick cav unit over there to grab that, right? Or even a stealth unit, like a Vanguard Skirmisher to pressure that objective. Here we do see the Ogre Bulls getting charged by the Cold One Spear Riders. Going to be favorable probably for the Spear Riders. But with Dismember active, that's some considerable damage. Maybe the Ogre Bulls can edge this one out. Shield of the old ones also activated. Saurus Spear is grinding these guys back. But there's just so much capture weight, right, coming in. I mean, that's like 5 right here. That's going to be like 4 or 5. That's going to be another 5. That's the problem, man. The Ogres are really able to mobilize on these points. So the Lizards just straight up need to win fights here. It's not a matter of like, yeah, because the capture weight is just going to be able to overwhelm them. Although we do see a little bit of a trolling on the other objectives. Feral Cold Ones moving over there. Skinks on the backside are going to be addressed by the Noblars, so Noblars will be able to push them off. So this is a non-factor right now. Don't really need to pay attention to that objective anymore. Objective number 2, Feral Cold Ones as well as Skink Cohorts are going to be trying to threaten that. But the Ogre capture weight has arrived. And yes, there are going to be Cold and Spear Riders, but they're not facing something that they just hard counter, right? The Man-Eaters with Great Weapons, that's like an even fight between those guys. In a straight-up fight, the Man-Eaters would probably win. They're a more expensive unit. They're just really, really brutal. So I think that's going to be Game Blouses probably, man. What a match. I mean, we do see this being taken. Can the Lizards rat anything out? Really, really nice piercing bolts right there. Did hit a lot of the Ogre units. Spear Riders showing why they're an absolute chat of a unit, and the Saurus Spears here are also going to be grinding. Maybe there's a chance the Lizards can get this objective back, though. We do see the Ogres getting worn down a bit, but they still have those Man-Eaters and those Bulls. That is going to be a triple cap right now, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, but I don't think so. Not with the Vultures coming in. Blood Vultures flying overhead, you know, swarming on the Skink Cohorts, making sure they can't get in. Also, diminishing the charge bonus. That's what's really good about flying units in this game against Cavalry, is Cavalry want to get their charge bonus, but if a flying unit dives them, they simply cannot get their charge bonus. Unless the flying unit was like landed on the ground and they charge it, right? So that's the deal there. But yeah, that's got to be it. I mean, I'm going to see a tap out here in a second, right? We see the Cohorts coming in, the Feral Cold Ones, but what a freaking comeback, man. Like, I thought it was over. Like, when I was watching this replay, I 100% thought, I was like, oh, this game's, it's done for, right? We're going to be seeing the Ogres being stuffed and triple cap. The Lizards are just going to reinforce the middle. But, you know, he kept a lot of his Lead Belchers online. He got those Man-Eaters with Great Weapons, which were able to kind of carry in the late game as well. GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. That was a really, really good match. Looking at the Fire Slam, 1600 right here. Saurus Spears grinding it out as well. Chameleon Skanks, not bad value on those bad boys for sure. And decent reinforcement pool. Would have liked to see the Salamanders. I think they could have been pretty good. Granted, they are weak against Leadbelcher, so I understand why he didn't call those out. And for Hippo's army, yeah, really good Maneater play in the late game. I like the Blood Vultures. Honestly, the build is very good. It makes sense. You know, these guys are both top-tier players at their respective factions here, so yeah, very, very scary. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. That's going to be it for today, and we will see you on the other side.